Well, yesterday you had us listen to the Soft Boys. And I thought, man, what would be a great act to follow the Soft Boys? The Viagra Boys.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Audiophiles. Hey! My name's Sean, his name is Andy. Her mother read her mail, and her dad was a policeman, which I must say worried me. But some things are just gotta be. So we pass very fast, like ships in the night, or cars in a contraflow system. On that later. But first, Andy, you got a track for us to listen to? What be it?
I do. Well, yesterday you had us listen to the Soft Boys. And I thought, man, what would be a great act to follow the Soft Boys? The Viagra Boys. So we are going to listen to a track by a band called Viagra Boys, and the track I want you to listen to is called Slow Learner, which I've been accused of being on more than one occasion. So, also, little factoid, this is on an Audiotree live performance, though it's not the typical studio that I think we've grown accustomed to seeing oftentimes on Audiotree. This is a on location filming. So please let me know what you make of the song and what you make of the just the performance in general, given that it will have visuals and whatnot. So there you have it. Go off, check it out, and come back and let me know what you think.
That wasn't John Virgo, was it? No, couldn't have been. Interesting vibe from the snooker hall. Chris's Billiards, I think it says in the description. We've got an interesting bunch here. So, very young guy on the sax. The guy on the white guitar is the only one who's given me Hives vibes, which is a fun thing to say, Hives vibes. The singer, before he opened his gob, gave me strong sort of Shane McGowan vibes, actually. And of course the bassist. It's an escapee from the Right Said Fred repatriation program. Good to see you. They're still alive and kicking. Yeah, so interesting look. There's this nice sort of grubbiness to a snooker hall. I don't know why, but there is. So yeah, that's cool. Don't have a future, no, you ain't got no past. A slow learner, you know he knows the fast he is relaxed. A slow learner know nothing about history. Don't care for politics, he don't know how to read. He don't get stressed out, he like to take it easy. Don't need no sex, don't need no drugs, no TV. Oh, we're going back for that. So yeah, the verse, the guitar's there, but it's fairly weak, really. It's been carried along by the bass, in particular, when we get these honkings from the sax, and then we go to the lovely sort of end of verse wail. There's a long tradition of saxophones in punk and post-punk, seemingly quite inappropriate, but they're there and they work quite often. I don't know why, but they do. There's some of that chaotic nature to saxophone sometimes. And it works here as well. And then we get this shonky, spazzy keyboard, Moog. And obviously the Moog can be set up to sound pretty much like anything, but here it sounds like you'll need to change the batteries fairly soon. It's dying on its house. And it sounds great. I love it. This verse bit's just sort of musically just traveling. And for some reason, it's put me in this quite steady bit of My Sharona. I don't know how these things come to me, but they do. Don't have a future, no, he ain't got no past. A slow letter, you know he's only fast, he's relaxed. Slow Yeah, I enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. Not a sort of mega tune that was stuck in your head for ages, but I mean, the performance of it was great. I love the sax. I love the shonky Moog. I think actually, although those two are sort of, seen stealers, the main meat and potatoes of this was the bass and the drums. Did a great job of just keeping it going. And there's the bit towards the end where they just dropped out. Well, the bass dropped out and the sax dropped out. So you just had the drums and the guitar in isolation. And it's the first time you could really hear the guitar. And it was all right, it sounded great. But yeah, they were the stars really. I like the singer, his delivery is nothing special, but he had a bit of an attitude there. So all in all, this is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Viagra Boys, interesting choice of name. So let's find out more about them by going back and speaking with Andy.
So you've returned from the pool hall shenanigans that was this performance by the Viagra Boys on Audiotree Live. What say you, sir?
Yeah, it was a nice setting this, the old snooker halls. There's absolutely no reason for it, but there is an air of disrepute that lingers around perfectly respectable snooker halls, as well as the dodgy ones. So yeah, it's nice to see this outside broadcast from Audiotree. I know I didn't. I sort of watched it from the start and then started recording properly. So there's a little intro at the start of this, which is like a sort of a sort of highlights thing. And it's done in and you won't get a lot of these references, but it's sort of Guy Ritchie meets Big Break. And there are these wizened geezers in there, all look like retired criminals. And then I thought, do you ever really retire from the life? Anyway.
It's a a good question.
So after a couple of stick taps, we saunter past. I saw for the reading about this where it was and the band. So we saunter past. I don't know where Chris's Billiards are, whether they are in Sweden or in the mainland of the US of A, or indeed Lower Liechtenstein for all I know. But we saunter past Sweden's answer to John Virgo. UK fans can thank me later. And through these plastic door strips that are usually the preserve of meat processing
I was
warehouses,
just
and
gonna say a
I've
meatpacking
worked in a
plant.
couple, so I know, and they're really really annoying because they always smack you. No matter what you're trying to do, they smack you in the face. Um, but yeah, I have high hopes based on these plastic strips for the internal ambience of Chris's Billiards. Um, and then we go across, and there's the band dutifully lined up, and others going about their business, trying to hustle and whatever. And before he even opens his gob, and I'm able to count the number of missing teeth, I'm getting huge Shane McGowan vibes off the lead singer. Just that, and he's not particularly like him. It's just the way he stands and everything. And I think he looked a little bit similar, but not much. But just that's what I thought. And white guitar player, I shall call him, he's the one giving me the strongest Hives vibes, which is a fun two-word phrase to use. Quite Hives vibes. Um, I think I might copyright that. Anyway, they get going. The music is pretty straightforward, with a little touch of menace or perhaps laryngitis from the singer. Um, it is lovely to hear the sax punching in like an obstinate goose. There is a long tradition of inappropriate sax playing on both punk and post-punk
Yeah.
tunes. And then somehow, pretty much, it always works, even when it shouldn't. And it's very much a welcome addition here. And he does look, out of a lot of them, he looks the most sort of angelic, the sax player. At the end of the verse, we get a customary sax wail, which then leads into some stellar, shonky moog work. Now, it has that quality. Moogs can sound like whatever you like. A lot of them tend to sound like this sort of overblown Hammond organ, but they can sound however you want them to sound. And this one has the quality that no matter what the sound is supposed to be, you're going to need to change the batteries pretty soon because it's running down. It kind of reminded me of the sort of jingle that a low budget supermarket would use. I really loved it. Then we go back to the singer. And for some reason, the sort of verse bit where he's singing, I'm getting strong My Sharona vibes. I don't know why. It's just tapping me on my subconscious shoulder.
Okay.
Um, and it's good to see the relocation policy for ex-members of Right Said Fred is still paying off, Mr. Bass. He's standing there with his shades and his wife beater. Yeah, hilarious. The verse section is really quite plain and simple, and it's carried, moog bits and honking aside, is really carried by the sort of the bass. The drumming's really simple, the bass is really solid, and then you get these sort of Tourette-like ticks from the sax, which again is great. More Moog Fisher Price action, and then we get this really wonderful and suitably chaotic sax turn. I'll call it, or when I say a solo, well, you can call it that if you want, to end the show. And I really enjoyed that as well because it had that anarchic quality which the rest of the band seemed to sort of present in idea, if nothing else. And it just it was loose and free and a little bit sort of dangerous and a little slightly uncontrolled, and these are all positives for me. I sort of really enjoyed that sax ending. So then it came to a finish. Sadly, another short song. This had fantastic energy and attitude as well. I mean, in terms of Swedish post-punk, I really only have Hives as a reference, and they probably came from a similar place, maybe many years earlier, and they presented themselves in a very different way with their sharp suits and their sort of coordinated kit as it were. But they also had a lot of fun, the Hives, and I sense there's a bit of fun about these guys here. They have a sense of humor as well. I mean, they're in a bloody pool hall for a start, you know. Um, but also, which I keep always forgetting with these things, the live performance aspect of this was spot on and impressive, and it sounded great. And you know, apart from the fact you're watching them play, you could forget that they're playing live because it just sounded great. You know, they didn't miss a beat or a single sort of utterance out of place. So yeah, I was really impressed with this. I was really pleased with it. I wouldn't say it's outstanding or anything, but it just had lovely attitude, and sometimes that's all you need, you know. And with the sax and the wonky moog as well in particular. Yeah, really enjoyable.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad you liked it for a lot of the same reasons I did as well. Yes, Viagra Boys. They are a Swedish punk band formed in Stockholm in 2015. The lineup currently consists of lead singer Sebastian Murphy, alongside musicians, and bear with me because this is where it gets very Swedish.
Big
Eli-
Murphy, he's got an Irish bloody name.
yeah, yeah.
There you go. Anyway, sorry.
More on that later. Uh, the we have Linus Hilborg on guitar, Elias Ljungqvist on keyboards, Heinrich Hokert on bass, Tor Sjöden on drums, and Oscar Karls, the angelic-looking saxophone player. The band's lyrics are known for using satire and dark humor to criticize hypermasculinity and far-right conspiracy theories. Lead singer Sebastian Murphy is the only foreign-born member of the group. Who would have thought with a name like Murphy? Being an American from San Rafael, California, who moved to Stockholm to live with his aunt when he was 17 years old. His mother is from Sweden, and he grew up speaking Swedish. You guessed it. A heavy drug and alcohol addict at the time, Murphy worked as a tattoo artist and met other band members while performing, brace yourself,
Yes.
Mariah Carey's song "We Belong Together" at a karaoke night. Murphy, I think that a little anecdote alone kind of underscores the humor that this guy obviously possesses. Murphy is the chief songwriter of the band. And in 2018, the band released their debut album Streetworms on the Swedish independent label Year 0001. Nils Hansen of Swedish daily publication Dagens Nyheter described the band favorably, praising their musical style as well as their use of black humor and satire, and rated the album a 5 out of 5. In 2019, the band won the Independent Music Companies Association Impala Album of the Year for Streetworms. The band's second album, Welfare Jazz, was released in January of 2021. In October of that same year, founding member and guitarist Benjamin Valle died at the age of 47. While he appeared on Welfare Jazz, he was not an active member of the band at the time of his death. Viagra Boys' third studio album, Cave World, was released in July of 2022. The band played at multiple festivals that year, including Coachella and Primavera Sound, and performed at Glastonbury in 2023. Viagra Boys won the Swedish Grammys Award, which is essentially their Grammys, for, I love this category, Rock of the Year. So they won the Rock of the Year award in 2023, and supported Queens of the Stone Age during their North American tour that same year. In January of this year, Viagra Boys announced their upcoming album, Viagra Boys, set for release in April via their newly launched label, Shrimp Tech Enterprises. The track I had you listen to today features on the band's aforementioned debut album, Streetworms. Ahead of the release of the album, two singles were released. Sports came out in mid-August, and at the end of the same month, the single Just Like You was released. In an interview with The Fader, the band stated that the album is focused on discussing and criticizing hypermasculinity and right-wing populism in Europe. Streetworms was well received by music critics. On review aggregator website Metacritic that we often cite on this channel, it received an average rating of 80 out of 100. Streetworms was also included in some best albums of 2018 year-end lists, notably ranking in those by Gaffa Sweden, Loud and Quiet, and NME. Nina Corcoran of Pitchfork, who describes the band as a tour de force of musical comedy disguised as society's most accepted reprobates, reviewed the band's debut album and had this to say. Streetworms, their debut album, is a grand introduction. Viagra Boys managed to mock everyday negative qualities, boasted virility, misplaced classism, and blissful ignorance with sincerity and ambivalence. She would go on to add the interplay between Murphy's wobbly singing, itself an homage to Marky Smith, and the band's tempo-aligned tightness creates an intense but aloof dynamic. The mix makes Viagra Boys confrontational. When guitars and the saxophone take turns flashing in Slow Learner, or the manic descending noise of Frogstrap refuses to relent, that's the band fortifying Murphy's criticisms and quips. There's a free-form enthusiasm to Viagra Boys music, even if nobody is taking solos. So, let's jump into these lyrics. He was always sat in the back of the class. There's something wrong with his seeing eye glass. Don't have a future. No, he ain't got no past. Slow learner. You know he don't live fast. He is relaxed. Slow learner. Know nothing about history. Don't care for politics. He don't know how to read. He don't get stressed out. He don't need to take it easy. He don't need no friends. He don't need sex. No TV. Slow learner. He was in high school till he was 22, until they told him you need something else to do. He packed his school books and he moved to the street. And now he sits there. Slow learner is happy. Slow learner is happy. He always sat in the back of the class. There's something wrong with his seeing eye glass. Don't have no future. He ain't got no past. Slow learner. He don't live fast. He is relaxed. Slow learner. Slow learner. Slow learner. He learns 100 words an hour. Slow learner. So, this little blurb here, perhaps inspired by, but not completely biographical of Sebastian Murphy's own experience in high school in California during his mid-teens. This song describes an unambitious student's experience in school and in society. Murphy has in interviews described his personal grudge against school systems. So, there you have it. A song that is semi-biographical about the man himself, an interesting character. I think you can tell just at first glance, but this guy really is. It's funny that you correlated him to your man Shane from the Pogues, right? Because he does have that kind of like punk poet kind of look going for him, and even approach to fronting a band, which is undeniably endearing for whatever reason. This street tough that's got a softer side, and despite what the song is about, he's clearly a thoughtful individual. And there's more to him than just the visage that you get of this tattooed, rough around the edges kind of fella that looks every bit like the kind of guy you would bump into in a pool hall. So despite the saxophone and the keys, they do kind of fit the aesthetic of what they're going for here with this pool hall setting. So I'm really glad you like this track, John. There'll probably be more from them in the future now that I know that this went over well. We'll take a few more swings perhaps down the line. But thank you so much for giving this song a listen, and I appreciated your input, man. So thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Well, guys, out there in the listening audience, please let us know what you made of Viagra Boys, this track Slow Learner, and this kind of interesting performance hosted by Audiotree. Be interested to hear what you guys have to say. If there's anything else by them that we need to check out, as I alluded to, we'd be open to it. So I've got a couple in mind, but if y'all do as well, please feel free to drop them down in the comments field, and perhaps you'll find one Friday devoted to that song. Also, please like, share, and subscribe if you'd be so inclined. We really do appreciate all you guys do to help us out over here at the channel and gin up numbers and viewership. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And hopefully John and I will catch all y'all in growing numbers on the next installment of the Audiophiles. We'll see you later, guys.